hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Right, let me turn my silly light on to get rid of my bags under my eyes, babe.
Okay, cool.
You all right?
I'm really good. I'm so chuffed that you've met with me. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
No worries. Yeah, thanks for the headphones. They're
Oh,
amazing.
you're so welcome.
So, let's talk music. Let's talk sound quality. Let's talk noise pollution. Hit me.
All of it. Awesome. How important is music to you and why?
It's a lifeline. It's something I have used as escapism. I mean, everyone has a soundtrack to their best moments of their life, do they not? I've driven around New Zealand, and most of the way I listen to musical scores from TV and film. Nothing better than being at the most beautiful landscape and playing the Jurassic Park theme tune. So music for me, it's everything. I'm more of a melody and percussion sort of music guy. Some people are, they like the quality of the songwriting and the poetry in itself. I have a love for all of it, but definitely more melody and percussion for sure is something that draws me in first. Last night, driving back from Blind Boy, I listened to Taylor Swift Folklore, I listened to Daft Punk, I listened to a bit of hip hop. Fred again as I was driving through London. It's a perfect soundtrack for seeing the city.
Heard you say before, like you see the world like a film. So are you matching your soundscape to your environment because it's like part of that cinematic experience?
Absolutely. I'm scoring my life in
Okay.
every part of it. Like just before this interview, actually, I was listening to a new Arabic album, Altingun, Atlingun. Really cool. Yeah. The album's called Ask, ASK. Before that, I was listening to the new album by The Weave, and The Weave is the Blur creator. What's his name? Graham Coxon. Graham Coxon's got a new album out. The song "The Ballad of Bernard Swimmings." If you want to just bring joy to your day and lift your mood, listen to it, man. It's beautiful.
Do you use music like that? Do you use it to lift you, to bring joy? Do you use it to do you ever use it to like encourage melancholy as well? Yeah.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I will lean into when I need to have a cry, and I will find what I need. Cleo's Soul? So recently, 2 albums this year, I found them to be really helpful. I'm going through a change of neurological status. I'm losing an arm and having to let go of that, and that comes with pain, like tolerance, everything. And sometimes I just need to just have a cry about that. So I'll get in my shower. No one can tell you crying in the shower. Put so on, and I'll just it's just perfect. So like her album Mother. My mum can't hug me. I've got the boundaries of a wheelchair between us. But I can put that album on, and she washes my bed sheets for me still. I'm a 40-year-old man, but I say to her, "You can't hold me, you can't hug me, you can't do much for me." But every time I pull the bedding up to my face, like I feel like you're with me. You know what I mean? And like that album Mother by Cleo Soul, it does the same thing. It just takes me to my mum.
Oh, that's lovely. I'll have to listen. I don't know that album very well.
Oh, it's a godsend. It's like the most beautiful lullaby. She wrote it pregnant and recorded it after the baby was born.
I have to say, I'm not so good at leaning into melancholy. I did used to, and now I seem to be like pushing it at arm's length a bit. So I don't.
Someone who's lost as much feeling as I have, don't be afraid to feel. The whole range of the human emotion. We've all had our heart broken. We've all been in love with someone and they've not loved us. We've all, and like that's why they write songs about it. So don't be afraid to feel anything. And music is one of the is one of the best, keys to open those doors.
It really is. So you're writing a book?
Yeah, I've written it. Well, I handed over 100,000 words, and now it's just with the editor and the publisher just getting tidied up. So the title of the book should be David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived. I wrote it over 18 months myself, just after we signed the documentary deal. I sat there diving into the deepest parts of my brains and my memories and talking about some subjects that were difficult to talk about and writing about it, but also I've got some great stories, man. I've lived a very big life.
You definitely have. I can imagine it must be pretty exhausting going through the memory bank and, like you say, big life. So
surprised what you compress, what you put to the back of your mind.
Is it quite cathartic processing it?
Very, yeah, like it's free therapy. You know what I mean? I'd encourage anyone to write a journal, or anyone to just go back and even just write some of the things that they would never dare speak to someone about. And I'm a very open person, so this book will go to the world, but it's definitely filterless. The same way my documentary is, in the same way I am. I've tried to recover a life of a stuntman after breaking my neck, and the life of a stuntman we take risks in front of and behind camera. And in a society where masculinity's been eroded away is a bad word right now. I grew up in a very toxic masculine environment with the stunt industry. Now I understand, for me, what is it to be a man? Well, accountability is probably the first one. Am I accountable for myself and my actions? That is number one. So, yeah. Last night, actually, funny enough, I've got a girlfriend, she's a high-level quadriplegic like me, and we're just about to do a road trip. And she bought me tickets for Blind Boy, the greatest podcast in the world. We both, our bodies, we'd taken the mickey out of ourselves. Staying up late, having a kiss and cuddle. We just pushed it, both of us. And we shouldn't have done a 5-hour drive from Essex to West London yesterday. And because of that, I'm in agony today. And she's got to drive back up to Sheffield and then drive back down to me for Monday before we go off on this all singing, all dances road trip across Europe. So it's very hard to travel as a quadriplegic, and there's 3 of us in wheelchairs going. There's a lot of organisation that needs to go into it. Letters that are written to hotels and a lot of planning. But the number one thing for me, get the playlist right on the journey. And by going in a car, it means we do not have to rely on any airlines or any other people that can break my wheelchair and ruin my life, which happens almost every time I get on an aeroplane.
Seriously?
So, yeah, whenever I get to an airport, the moment I get out of my car and get to my destination, I know that I am the problem. And they make you the problem as well. The amount of time for you a wheelchair. We've got a wheelchair here, not a person in a wheelchair, not a man in a wheelchair, just a wheelchair.
How do you keep your patience with that? How do you?
I just look at people and go, "You're ignorant." I just feel sorry for people. And I spent a life with a relationship with pain through gymnastics. You know what I mean? I spent working my body and understand that life begins outside your comfort zone, and nothing is good in life unless it's hard work. My current relationship is a prime example of that. I've dated able-bodied women, never felt enough, and now it takes 4 people to get me and my girlfriend close enough together to have a kiss and cuddle. Makes it even more special. Like I say, I tried to recover a life of a stuntman after my accident. Try and rebuild what is the simple. Who am I? Am I a disabled person? Well, I don't want to be a disabled person. Whereas I've lent into that now, and I can be, I'm just, I am who I am. It's my body, everyone else's problem. I set my head on fire last week.
Did you?
Yeah. It's being submitted for a picture in the National Portrait Gallery. Sit naked on a shower chair and set my head on fire with a catheter bag on my leg. And it's funny, I showed my mate, and my mate said, "You look like Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast." I just think, in society, do we not reward the artists that take the most risks? And stunt performers are artists. We risk our lives for the sake of art and storytelling. No one knows that more than me, yet we are not awarded BAFTAs and Oscars and all of that lot. So it would be nice if me and my department were recognised for the artists that we are. So that's why I set my head on fire. I want to start a conversation. Someone that likes adrenaline, there's someone that takes risks, someone that willing to suffer for the sake of art.
That's brilliant. This is really hard, but is there a particular song or album that's had the biggest impact on you?
Oh, that's a really hard one. Really hard. I think going back to Miseducation as a young one, definitely, that really blew my mind. Mac Miller, I tell you, Mac Miller. I mean, Swimming and Circles, those 2 albums, Circles, which is what was released 2 days after he passed away, is just unbelievable. And when the clocks change in November, you look at Circles on the Spotify charts, it will be in the top 10. it will always come back. It's where people turn to when they need to sort of digest the emotion that is forced upon us just when the sunshine's taken away. One of the greatest albums of my life, Frank Ocean Blonde. Oh my God, when that album came out on a Sunday, it came out at midnight. I listened to that album everywhere in my house on loop for the whole day. I grew up in a Baptist church, so I grew up around church organs and around choirs and like gospel choirs, and like what that album means to me. I tell you, I mean, Godspeed, like James Blake's cover of Godspeed is just unbelievable. He done an EP's album of covers in the lockdown. George Michael, love George, grew up on George, will always like turn to George at a time of need. And I've actually mapped on my Instagram albums that have helped me get through tough days. I'm having a bad one today, so I'm just going to lean into music. I was halfway through Symphonica, George Michael. I got to about 5 o'clock in the day, and you hear him covering Nina Simone's Feeling Good. It's like a tennis match between him and the orchestra, and how much fun they're having. You know, I said, okay, it's all right. I've had everything you could ever imagine. Fentanyl, Oxycontin, you name it. Like, give me presence to be here now and to be connected. That's enough for me.
And George Michael, beautiful
What,
man, inside and out.
what a gift for humanity he was. All artists are troubled, and he, towards the end of his life, was just, he'd done his bit. He'd done his bit, and then he left us, and then you hear all the cool things that he did. In recent years, folklore blew me away, simply because we were all going through something collectively as a society, and she was able to create something that really hit a note on the melancholy we were all feeling because of the loss of connection that we had. She paints some of the greatest pictures with her poetry, and then not only that, it's a melodic arrangement that people she chooses to work with. I know she writes a lot with the National, with the Bleachers, and yeah, just class. I like anything. Do you know, I'm open to anything. I think you start closing your ears off to any new art, or your eyes to any new art. It's when you start getting old. You should be open to be challenged. You know, like, I don't like drill music, but I'll listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, I know I might not like it, but I will give it a go. After this phone call, promise me you will Google Audience Choir Jacob Collier. And these are normal people. They're not trained to sing properly. But he will just build and build and build and build. And then he finds these notes with 1,000 people in the room. And he made his album with all of the recordings from his live concerts.
Right.
He's exceptional. He's like a genius.
How do you consume your music? How do you find these new artists, new albums? Do you listen to an album all the way through? Do you dip
Always.
in?
I'm an album person through and through. Even if like there's tracks you don't like, you should listen to someone's whole piece of work. There's no point looking at half the painting. If someone's trying to paint that picture, then give them like the time to sit in front of it. It probably started for me, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Just like that story she tells all the way through on that album, that puts you in the classroom, that puts you in that teenage, you know, understanding love and relationships and all of that. From then onwards, I've always just been an album person. And especially when back in the day, I was CDs, and CDs in car stereo. So, you know, as you're driving along, you can't just change CDs, stick another one in.
Remember tape decks as well.
Yeah. The first thing I recorded off of a radio was a garage song, I think. Tina Moore, Never Let Me Go. But then I will find new music through BBC Radio 6. I think it's one of the best radio stations, if not the best. I listen to Apple Music. I'll always check new albums of the week on Apple Music. And yeah, Guy Garvey on a Sunday. Me and Guy are just on a similar wavelength, and the perfect Sunday for me is spent listening with my missus, listening to Guy Garvey, just chilling out.
He's just the best. I love Sunday on Six Music. I love Keris as well, with her kind of like,
and then Iggy afterwards with a voice like a bloody car phone. Yeah, unbelievable. Cillian Murphy's show was amazing to listen to. It's just a gift. You know, all of the songs in the world in your pocket, but finding the actual peaches. As a music lover, that's part of the journey, isn't it? Like I drive up to Sheffield where my partner lives, where Rosie lives, and 4 hours just go boom really quick because I'm just DJing from my phone, just like I want to hear this, I want to hear that, I want to hear this.
So will
Yeah.
you always listen to music when you're traveling? You don't tend to listen to podcasts as much, or?
Only sleep. I have to fall asleep with the sounds of someone calmly, collectively talking to me about something. Like I'm tuned into it now. So if I listen to a podcast in the car on the road, I start feeling tired. I had post-traumatic stress for a long time after my accident, and I'd fall asleep and hear the noise of the wire pulling me and me breaking my neck, and it'd wake me up with a jolt, and it'd be really traumatic. Podcasts, I used to listen to them quietly. First podcast I listened to were Mark Kermode and Simon Mayo, who actually reviewed my film, which was amazing. And I wrote the letter and they read the letter out. And that was the only time that I got emotional. And the whole process of putting my film out was listening to them review my film after what they'd done for me, which is get me through a really, really hard time. So Blind Boy, always, like every week without fail. I do music all the way. If the world is changing around you, then you should play a playlist, definitely. What do I get from one of my best mates, Daniel Radcliffe, when he can buy what he wants? So I make him playlists. You know, when he started his new family and the arrival of his new little one, I made him a playlist. I made him a playlist when he moved into his new place. For his birthday, I'm making playlists.
So you're scoring his life as well. You're soundtracking his life.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, try this.
I think it's brilliant soundtracking your life.
Nothing makes you love harder or deeper. Nothing connects you to a place more. Like the power of storytelling through film and TV has always been one of my crutches, but music's another one. If all of my senses were taken away, if I lost sight and I lost speech and I lost taste, but I still had sound, I'd still want to live.
What do you think is the best use of sound in a film that you've heard?
Tarantino's pretty up there, isn't he? I would say Lord of the Rings, Howard Shore's score for Lord of the Rings is just, you can't beat it. It's the best film score ever made. Sergio Leone, the spaghetti westerns. DJ David Holmes, like when he done the soundtrack to that, is it Out of Sight? Yeah.
What are your favourite sounds? Do you have favourite sounds? Like some people say stuff like a kettle boiling or a pop of a champagne cork. With other people, it's birdsong or...
Do you know what? I sit on the bottom of my swimming pool underwater on a scuba tank simply because it allows me to sit upright and focus on breathing. But like my journey, independent breathing, speech and swallow might be affected. So I actually do maximum breath holds just because I'm not going down without a fight. I can hold my breath for 4 minutes 25.
Oh my God.
When I'm underwater and I take that breath off the regulator and I hold it and there's nothing but me. I can almost hear my central nervous system. I can hear my heartbeat and then just breath. Because it's a gift. It's a gift we all take for granted. And it's a gift that I have to work on. It's a gift that some of my friends who live on ventilators don't have. So the sound of breath. I've got a 16-year-old dog that snores really loud and she just, the soundtrack to my house at the moment. You know, she's been with me since I had legs. So hearing her breathe around me is great.
Is there a noise that you can't stand?
Oh, loads. Yeah. But noises that annoy me, moaning, negativity. It's the language we have about ourselves and the world around us directly affects the life we get to live. Life's a gift, man. If you're still breathing, you're the lucky ones. Who wrote that line? The band's called Daughter, and the song is called Youth, and it's a beautiful song.
Please, could you tell us what it is about the e-prototypes that you like so much?
It really is the depth of sound that you guys can create. Put those headphones in and be in the studio with the artists. I've been in a room and there's been a 50-piece orchestra of strings and I've closed my eyes and I've heard like all the different parts of the orchestra around the room, and your headphones can do that. If you listen to Reckoner by Radiohead on your headphones, you can hear there's the shaker on the left side in one part of the studio, and then there's a snare drum on the right side. And then at one point, about a third of the way into the song, the bass comes in and the whole sound goes from wide into a collective gathering. And very few stereos can give you, like very few speakers can give you that full range. Like with what you guys do, you are able to reduce that rhythm down to be a more intimate experience, which is it's a gift. So keep doing the work.
This is a 3D printed large earphone of what you've got, but inside you have the driver that's facing here.
Yeah.
And this is the patent that we have with this particular earphone. Right. And what it does is I've taken a particle approach to sound. So if you start to imagine all of the sound world, they're all creating sound like this, and they're resonating sound like musical instruments. And I recognize that if I want to try and create higher sound quality, if I want to be able to create mirror image sound, then I start to need to think at a particle level. So what I do is I thought experiment particles, how they vibrate, how they interact with each other, and it enables me to start to predict what we need to do in order to keep the sound quality higher going through our ears.
Exactly the same as a digital SLR camera, isn't it?
Yes, pixels.
It is like you bounce one light off of one mirror, one light off another, and then the mirror lifts up, and then you're able to get a clearer image. That's why you're allowed like high pixelation for a digital SLR.
That's exactly right. Exactly the same. So exactly the same as also as a periscope. When you look at the periscope and you reflect light. So the driver's here, and what means is if you're a particle that's here, or if you're here, as you get pushed and pulled by the driver, you reflect and you stay next to each other, because the path length is exactly the same for that particle as it is for that particle. So it means when I look through it, you can see my eyeball, and you can see a perfect mirror image. That is what you're hearing.
Amazing. I mean, you can tell the depth of sound that you get from it. Now, I am blessed in my life. I'm a very fortunate man. I have really good quality speakers. I've got some Bang & Olufsen upstairs. I've actually been to Abbey Road a couple of times as well, sat in Studio 2 when they've done orchestral layerings for the films, and just understanding the importance of good quality sound. Like, nothing annoys me more than playing good music off of crap speakers. Like, I'd just rather not listen to music. I'd just rather. And in society, we are constantly bombarded by just like white noise and just noise pollution. And for some people, like on a neurodivergent scale, it's very overwhelming. Your products do amazing things at taking the edge off of that.
Karma, as you've just mentioned, that's been life-changing for people. We've seen an article actually by the WHO in 2018 that said noise is the second biggest killer after air pollution. So people on the neurodivergent scale and people with misophonia, they're the sensitive ones to sound. But actually, everybody has this problem with our ears. We all have this stress-inducing response. And to find out it's the second biggest killer after air pollution, noise, it's quite a shock.
That is intense, yeah. It's funny because when you go into care homes, they're not quiet environments. So you go into hospitals, you've got beeps, you've got buzzers, you've got noises that are like, I lied on my back and stared at a light for 9 months, like just like a strip light. And now I designed this house. There's not a single light bulb that's ever in my eyeballs, or my light bulbs are recessed, just because I realised how much like of an effect that had on my mind. And then because I had the CSF leak, which is the spinal fluid that wraps around your brain, goes around your ear canal as well, that leaked out the back of my spinal cord from my surgeries in 2019. So when my blood pressure drops, I get tinnitus. My like sound sensitivity and light sensitivity for me is a big thing. And you'd be like amazed what a difference it's made just to be able to cut it out.
a couple of new technologies coming that are really exciting. One is we've got a Karma 2 version coming. This new technology, it's a new approach, tunes your ears like an acoustic instrument.
Yeah.
So whereas Karma has a flat surface, so it's reflecting sound in a more calm way. 2 is literally like a tuning device. So think of like a piano or a guitar where you're tuning it to get the sound right. It flattens your frequency response. So it means you hear everything really clearly, but just like you've walked into a recording studio. That's the different approach we've taken, and it's significantly more calming, and just it's like a weighted blanket completely for your ears.
You're not just, providing an amazing soundscape, but you're actually providing something that is probably going to bring a lot of quality to people's lives. Thank you for the headphones and for the support. It's really nice to know that the documentary reached your audience and your staff, and just like the headphones are amazing.
Thank you.
All the best.
Speak to you-
Jacob Collier, audience choir. What's
I've
your
got
name?
it written
Sure.
down, I promised.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll speak to you in a bit.
See ya. Bye.
Bye bye.